to go. We have a quorum. The meeting's starting at 2:07. Good afternoon, everyone. I first would like to start by asking the commission members to consider adopting a motion to have me serve for today's meeting as the temporary non-voting chair to conduct the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Is all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Should start with the pledge.
Yes, we will. All right, everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States
States of America, and to the
And to
republic
the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to perform a roll call of members present. Tanner Brookhaven.
present. And we have Emily Pines.
Hello.
Okay, Supervisor Romaine and Emily Pines. Tanner Southampton.
Hi, Janice Shearer as the designated representative for Supervisor Schneiderman. He cannot make it today.
Thank you. Tanner Riverhead. They were here a minute ago.
No, she's there. She might have to be.
Yvette.
moved.
Hello, Vet. Excuse me, Supervisor.
Okay.
Agnew.
Aguiar and McCormick are here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Suffolk County.
Unmute you.
Suffolk County, you have Dale, Freeling, and Longo.
Okay, thank you. So we have a quorum present with 4 members. I'd like to start off by going over some meeting guidelines. Good afternoon. My name is Judy Jacobson. I'm serving as the interim executive director of the Central Pine Barrens Commission, and I'll be serving as the moderator for today's meeting. Before we start the meeting, I want to go over a few guidelines on how the meeting will operate, and especially in terms of public comment. This is the February 24th, 2021 regularly scheduled meeting of the Central Pine Barrens Commission. And for the record, a quorum is present and minutes will be taken. The notice of the meeting followed the open meetings law as amended by Executive Order 202.1 and as subsequently extended, which allows meetings to take place remotely. Now, in regard to public participation, the public will be able to directly participate and provide comment during the public comment sections that are at the beginning and end of the agenda of today's meeting. Unless providing public comment, the audio will be muted and video feeds disabled for the entirety of the commission meeting in order to save bandwidth and other things. For the public comment sections on the agenda, the emails that have been received through info@pb.state.us will be read. Then the public will be provided the opportunity to speak by selecting the raise your hand feature in Zoom or by entering your request in the chat feature. Once you are selected, please limit your comments to 2 minutes. You will receive an indication from staff when you are approaching the 2-minute mark and be asked to finalize your comments. The opportunity to provide public comment will then be made available to individuals participating by telephone. If you will be speaking during the public comment sections or providing comments during the public hearing, please make sure that you are clearly identified by your first and last name. If you are not, you can right-click on your name in the upper corner of the participant box and rename yourself, or send a chat to the commission with your name and we will update your contact information. This is important to ensure that public comment sections of public hearing comment period go smoothly and that we can clearly identify you. Please note that the opening and closing comment section is reserved on matters other than the subject of the public hearing that is being held today. Comments on that matter must be retained to the public hearing section. After the initial public comments at the beginning of the meeting, the rest of the meeting agenda will be followed and until approximately 2:45 to prepare for the public hearing at 3 p.m. I'd like to point out that the continuation of the public hearing for Mr. Della Speranza will be postponed until March 17th per the applicant's request. At 2:45, preparations for the Harriet Murphy credit appeal public hearing will commence with the public hearing beginning at 3 p.m. During the public hearing, public comments will be taken. Members of the public who've expressed interest in speaking at today's public hearing will be welcome to participate in the order in which the email reservation was received. Each individual will be provided 5 minutes to provide comment. You'll be informed during your comment period when you have 15 seconds remaining in order to finalize your comments. After all those who have pre-registered have commented, an inquiry will be made as to whether or not there are any individual additional members of the public who have not commented yet and who wish to comment. Please indicate interest in comments by clicking on the raise your hand icon in the Zoom chat participant window. You'll be called in the alphabetic order. As the final component of the public hearing comment period, each person participating by telephone who has not yet spoken will be asked if they would like to provide comment to ensure they also have the opportunity to speak. So after the public hearing has concluded, any remaining commission business will be addressed, including the reading of the closing public comments and an opportunity for the public to speak on non-hearing related matters during the second public comment section. The meeting will then be adjourned and an advisory session will be held at the end of the meeting to discuss legal matters. The voting protocol for commission members, the voting on actions and resolutions by the commission will be done via roll call. All commissions are asked to clearly state their name when making a motion and clearly state their vote when their name is called. The meeting is being recorded in the Zoom application and will be posted on the commission's website for viewing and listening after the meeting. Please note that the chat window is enabled for troubleshooting. Meeting minutes will also be prepared as normal practice. So now we're going to start with the actual agenda business and public comment section of the meeting. But first, I would like to recognize Legislator Krupski and Legislator excuse me for the pronunciation, Pixarillo, if they would like to offer any comments at this time during the public comment section.
I think you have to unmute them.
I
Thank
did.
No, thank you. I'm just here to listen. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Legislator, excuse my pronunciation.
Picarillo.
Picarillo, thank you, sorry. Do you have any other, do you want to offer any comments? Or during this time? Kathy's muted.
Yeah, I've unmuted him. It's not, he has to
Oh.
unmute on his side too as well.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so moving right along. We received one letter by email to be read during the public comment section. It is from Michelle Janowitz from Riverhead. The letter is addressed to Julie Hargrave, Principal Environmental Planner, regarding land owned by Lilco. Dear Ms. Hargrave, I'm writing this letter as I want to complain that the application for the mega tall pole that was installed at the Riverhead Power Station off of West Main Street, Riverhead, Southampton Town was approved very quickly. I don't understand how a hardship could have been established and proven to the Central Pine Barrens Joint Planning and Policy Commission in less than a month's time. This tower was installed without a building permit from the town of Southampton, without DEC wetlands approval, and without Public Service Commission approval. I want to thank Mr. Ed Romaine for speaking about this application. Mr. Ed Romaine was the only one who abstained, and this tower isn't even in his town. Our own Riverhead Town representative didn't even make one comment, and I feel this affects Riverhead Town the most and also sets a dangerous precedent. Please send me the records I requested in my FOIL applications. I think that the Central Pine Barrens Joint Policy and Planning Commission may have failed to adequately review the hardship application to ensure that the chemical concerns of the propane storage, radiation concerns, and clearing concerns and negative aesthetics were properly mitigated to ensure this application does not negatively impact the core of the Pine Barrens. Sincerely, Michelle Janowitz. So this will also be attached to the minutes that are drafted as well. So now we're going to open public comments up to anyone that is presently participating via Zoom. Is there anyone else that would like to offer any comments at this time? Please use the raise your hand feature or submit your request in the chat feature. Okay. So, and anyone on the calling in to the meeting, if you would like to provide public comment at this time, please let us know. Okay, so moving on to item 1B, minutes for 1/13/21 and 1/20/21, review and approval. Do any of the commission members have any corrections on these minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve it as submitted.
Okay. The second? Dorian?
Correct.
Who's making the second?
I
Okay,
am.
thank
Dorian
you.
Bell.
All right. Item 2A, signs and steward.
I'm
Yeah.
Call the
sorry.
vote.
So let's have a vote.
Oh,
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? No, motion carries 4-0.
thank you, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, item 2A, signs and stewardship, draft resolution to purchase equipment and supplies for the prescribed fire program. Ms. Wiegand and Mr. Ziegler from commission staff are here today to provide some background on this resolution, draft resolution.
Great, thank you, Judy. Good afternoon, commissioners. So you received a copy of the draft resolution and the accompanying exhibit that identifies the equipment we're seeking to purchase under the prescribed fire program grant that was provided in the EPAC that was sent out last week to help provide you with some background in support of the proposed resolution and the purchase of the equipment for our program. As you're aware, we have a contract with DEC to establish a comprehensive prescribed fire program for the public lands in the Central Pine Barrens. And we're receiving grant funding at $250,000 per year as part of the 5-year contract. And this funding is separate from our general operating budget. So it's an additional fund that we have available for this program. You may recall at the commission meeting in December that you approved the commission comprehensive prescribed fire management plan that will be serving as our operating and guiding document on how prescribed fire will be implemented across the Pine Barrens. So the commission staff, we've been working very closely with DEC on what equipment will be necessary to successfully establish and operate the program. And the draft resolution with the exhibit outlines the equipment that has been identified by the commission and what we are looking to purchase over the next year or so in order to successfully operate this program as expected by the DEC under this contract. So the key components of the prescribed fire program are specifically designated around safety and fire containment, and therefore speak to the need of the equipment indicated in Exhibit 1 to ensure prescribed fires are conducted safely and provide the necessary equipment to ensure the protection of individuals involved in conducting the prescribed fire operations. The larger expenditures such as a type 5 or 6 fire truck, the ATVs and UTVs, the trailers to haul them, focus mainly on moving of water and using the water to control and contain prescribed fires. The remainder of the expenses are for individual personal protective equipment, hand tools, communication devices, and other similar equipment. The commission staff has already reviewed the equipment list with DEC, so they are aware and supportive of us purchasing this equipment. And there's an addition request for the purchase of 2 storage containers for us to properly store this equipment and secure this equipment. And therefore, the purchase of the storage containers is also included in the exhibit resolution. For all the equipment slated for purchase, we of course will follow the standard Suffolk County Water Authority procurement procedures. The items which incur a large cost as detailed in the exhibit, which are item numbers 6 through 10, will be brought back to you for your approval once a vendor has been selected so that we can move then to purchase. And also note that the purchase of this equipment is, as indicated in the resolution, will be contingent on having available funding under the contract for these purchases. And secondly, that we also will have prescribed fire liability insurance in place prior to making these purchases. So currently we have a $400,000 balance available for these purchases that represent carryover from unspent funds to date. And we have additional funding that will be made available at a minimum of $500,000 over the next 2 years. These purchases would likely incur this year and into next year. And therefore, we would like to request the commission to approve this draft resolution to allow the purchase of the necessary equipment for the prescribed fire program. And in that vein, ask if you have any questions related to the resolution put forth.
Yes, hi, Polly. Dan from Riverhead. How you doing today?
Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Good, good. Just wanted to confirm on the communications equipment aspect. Will that be FRES compatible and approved? I know we had issues in Riverhead concerning bandwidth and compatibility with the signal. So would somebody be confirming that that is compatible with FRES and its requirements and protocol?
I'll defer to Sean on that question. He's been engaged in the purchasing of the radios.
Well, FRES operates on a lot of different frequencies, and if you do some research into the frequencies used across different emergency response agencies and local volunteer fire departments and a variety of other first responder populations, there is not a lot of consistency on the island, unfortunately, at this time. FRES does operate on some VHF bands. These radios are intended largely for people to communicate who are on site on the burn, so they're kind of lower powered, kind of local, so not real high range on the devices. But FRES does have some VHF channels. They're going to be VHF radios, so those channels will be programmed in, and we're also going to seek to register a certain frequency, because right now we're kind of borrowing from the DEC when they're involved. But moving forward, we'd like to proceed with securing our own VHF channel. But to answer the question directly, yes, there will be some of the FRES channels programmed in. So in the event that we need to on a local basis, we can communicate with FRES as well.
Sure, especially in an emergency scenario with the firefighting crew or anyone else out there.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions from any of the commission members?
No, I'll move the draft resolution.
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, motion moves. Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, item 3A under Planning, Land Use and Pine Barrens Credit Program, Core Preservation Area, 1600 Middle Country Road Ridge. Replace the septic system on the site of an existing restaurant. A draft response, Julie.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
So you have in the package a draft letter to this applicant, just to go over it quickly. The site is an existing restaurant on Middle Country Road and Medford Road in the core preservation area in Ridge in the town of Brookhaven. The site was recently converted from a McDonald's to a new restaurant within the same clearing and development envelope. And the applicant has found that their septic system has failed. So they are proposing to replace the failing septic system with a new conventional system. And in a grassy cleared area, there is expected to be no disturbance to natural vegetation, existing natural vegetation. So there's a draft letter in the package that says this is not achieving a development threshold pursuant to the Pine Barrens Act. And we reiterated that there will be as they have said, there will be no material alteration of grade or vegetation and no material increase in the intensity of use for this.
I move we send the draft letter.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor.
Second,
Second. Dale.
Maureen, any discussion? Okay, the motion's passed. Item,
We need to vote.
oh, excuse me, I keep forgetting. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
All
So we have a
in
motion
favor?
and a second. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion
Motion.
passed.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Item 3B, Vincent Della Speranza, core hardship 2-lot subdivision of 1.8 acres with one existing residence in the R15 zoning district in Northampton. The decision deadline is March 17, 2021. Julie?
As you indicated earlier, this is a request from the applicant to postpone the hearing because they are not prepared to present any new information at this time and continue the hearing as the commission had asked at the last meeting in January. So this is just continuing through the March 17th meeting. And we will keep you posted if they submit any new information or what their next action will be. They are pursuing, I believe, a carriage house option rather than a subdivision, but we will see at the next meeting. So this is just to postpone the hearing. I don't know if you need a motion. I don't
No,
think so. but- Okay,
they have a request.
okay, thank you.
Julie, on that, the commission, when is the deadline?
Deadline is March 17th, so that's the next month.
It
And
is the day of the hearing.
Yeah.
yeah.
What's
And
likely we'll
St.
need,
Patrick be with them.
yes.
Yeah, we would
We'll all agree.
likely need an extension, you're right.
Okay. Item 3C, in the compatible growth area, a referral on 215 Rogers Way, Hampton Business District, Abreski Airport Planned Development District in West Hampton. Construction of an 88,060 square foot warehouse, parking, and other infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. This is a referral from the town of Southampton. This is in the compatible growth area at Abreski Airport. It's for, as you said, a new 88,000 square foot warehouse. The development is in an area of Gabreski that was always slated for development as per the Gabreski master plan from 2007. So we have a draft letter in response to the town's referral, just providing some minor comments on their landscaping plan, if they can replace some of the species that they've shown with more native species. And again, reiterating that this is consistent with the Gabreski master plan.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yes.
Yeah.
please.
This is, I believe, Amazon.
It's reported to be, yes.
That reported to be.
It is, it is, it
Okay.
is, absolutely.
Is this going to involve additional air traffic at Gabreski Airport? Is Amazon going to use this warehouse as an effort to air products in to the airport? Can someone answer that question?
I can answer it at least from the town's understanding. At the planning board, we have continually asked that question, and they are willing to provide us a covenant expressly stating that they do not intend to use the airport. The county still owns the property, so we're not sure how that would work to enforce that covenant if they're not a party to it. So that's the only outstanding question when it comes to that. But that's the question of the day. We would like to ensure from the town's perspective and from the planning board that they do not engage. All of the airport PDD code states non-aviation uses. So we do not want this to be a situation where someone changes the status of the airport to allow for commercial freight to interact with that warehouse. So we share that same concern, Supervisor Romaine.
Thank you. Dennis, let me ask you that. It's in your town code. What happens if the code is violated, but it's on county property? Can you enforce your code on county property?
Great question. So when the county came in, when we did this airport PDD, we did come to some understanding with the county that they would, and Mr. Dale may be able to speak better to this, but at the time, and I was involved in writing that code, the county would adhere to our zoning on the 57 acres that is the airport PDD area. They then engaged with Reckler to be the master developer. We updated all our generic impact statements, etc. And we're under the impression with their lease with Reckler and with a sublease to Amazon that they will hold these applicants to our zoning. So we have to believe that. So I maybe Mr. Dale can.
Do you have
speak to it
recourse
better.
if that's not the case in the future? I mean, that may be the case now, but sometime in the future, do you have recourse? Has it been memorialized somewhere that you would have recourse if that was not the case?
I don't believe so. To my knowledge, there's no document that the county is bound to our zoning other than our airport PDD where that was the understanding. But I don't know that there's any actual intermunicipal agreement or something along those lines. Memorandum of understanding.
So
there's something, excuse me, Supervisor, but that's something obviously we can pursue and look into in greater depth. I mean, the last issue I remember we had to do with the US Open and the parking situation and the compatible growth area. And that was ultimately resolved to satisfaction. But in this particular case, I think it would frankly require a revisit unless one of my colleagues, Andy Freeling or Jenna Longo, has any better recollection of any of those issues. Do they?
No, I don't.
Well, I know that's not up for action today. All that's up is Julie's letter suggesting landscaping and types of landscaping plants that would fit in within the compatible growth. I get that. So we're not dealing with this issue today, but I thought it was important to raise that issue. I'm sure there's a lot of people that live around that airport that have their concerns that by building a very large warehouse at the airport might signal the introduction of commercial aviation for purposes of delivering Amazon products.
Yes, it's a concern of the town planning board as well. We have assurances from the applicant that they do not want to do that. But like you said, we don't have necessarily any recourse with the county should they change their minds 20 years from now or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm not on the town board and I'm certainly not supervisor of Southampton, but I'm just going to drop this conversation and just recommend that perhaps you pursue some type of formalized agreement with the county vis-a-vis commercial aviation as it applies to the Amazon warehouse. I think that would be something that you should do. I don't think it comes under the purview of this commission. So let me leave it at that. And Julie, we all have copies of your letter, and you don't need authorization to send that, do you?
Yes, I think we do. And I just want to add that we do mention that provided this project does not become a development of regional significance, not only air traffic, but traffic by vehicles, and there will be a significant number of vehicles related to this project, but
Could I ask you how many vehicles are involved?
well, there's a significant amount of parking, let's say that. The vehicle traffic, I think, is still being studied, from my understanding, at the site plan planning board level.
How many Amazon vehicles are going to be at this location?
I don't know off the top of my head, unfortunately. I could look it up at the staff report right now while I'm on here, but it was definitely a lot, where we had to redo our traffic analysis. So I can't give you a number because I don't want to be incorrect.
What
But
was your traffic analysis?
The applicant submitted a traffic study, and we hired an independent traffic engineer to assess and peer review that study. And that's ongoing right now at the planning board.
So that hasn't been finished yet, because my understanding is somewhere in excess of 150 vehicles.
Yeah, I would say around that number is right. And it is still ongoing at the planning board, yes.
Again, I'm not on the Southampton Town Board or the Planning Board, and I don't believe that is a concern of this commission. But I just thought I'd raise that because that is growth that is happening in compatible growth area that we did not anticipate. I don't think the county did, and I'll let Dorian speak to that you'd have 150 to 200 vehicles at one location in a warehouse that would create traffic patterns. Dorian?
Well, I think
anticipate that?
I mean, it's clearly a legitimate point, and I think, as I've suggested, it does really beg for further examination. Because to be frank with you, I only have like a very passing familiarity on this issue, so it's virtually anecdotal. But I think between now and our next interaction, we'll certainly do some due diligence and come up with some of the answers that I think have been posed by these questions that you've raised, Supervisor.
Thank you, Dorian. Maybe yourself and Janice, we could schedule, if Judy would allow, just a brief moment at our next meeting where you could report back on commercial aviation and report back on the number of trucks that Amazon is going to be dispatching and the hours of dispatch. Is this a warehouse that operates 24 hours a day, 12 hours a day? How many hours a day? And what is the traffic patterns over those in a given 24 hours? I think those things are important in terms of public information. As I said, I don't think this commission has jurisdiction, but I would point that out.
That sounds, I think, like a very reasonable approach, and I think we should be able to pull at least some of the salient information together within the next month for you.
Thank you.
We need a motion to approve the sending of the response to the referral letter.
Or is it the will of the commission to wait until that information comes back?
Why don't we postpone this? Why don't we postpone sending this letter until Dorian and Janice or Jay, if he's here at the next meeting, have an opportunity to present us some additional information about the impact of this. By the way, congratulations. Amazon is a major employer and obviously will provide hopefully jobs. I assume they're jobs. Are these jobs that Amazon are employing, or are these going to be self-employed contractors? Do you know the difference on this, Janice?
I think there's both, and I'm just looking at this traffic study now, and actually I can forward it to the commission so you can read it as well. So it's like 14 pages long. So I'm just trying to, it looks like there's over 300 parking spaces. There's It says 137 managers and warehouse employees on site. And then there's additional 40 independent drivers that will be outside, like then contractors. So almost around 170 some odd, 177 workers, it sounds like.
Can I just add, we did get some traffic analysis from the town. But when I reviewed it, I couldn't find the information, and I don't think it was in there, that related to level of service, which is how the Pine Barrens Land Use Plan measures achieving a threshold of development of regional significance. It provided a lot of information on turning movements and number of vehicles and everything, but we need that translated into level of service so that we can measure it against our threshold in the plan. So
well, should the letter say that then? Should the letter mention that part?
Well, yeah, we didn't get into that level of detail in case that wasn't, I don't know if that traffic analysis is complete from my understanding, but if it is, we can mention that, that additional information would be helpful to make that, for the commission to make that determination.
Julie,
At least I think at this time, and I know I'm on the behalf of the town, but it would be great if at least the commission could say that, hey, we need this additional information. And that way it's, then it could be referred again by the planning board, the complete level of service document, the traffic analysis, and then our peer reviewed analysis so that the commission could see all that.
Judy or Julie, maybe I can ask you, who at the commission would make the determination if this is a project of regional significance?
Well, that would then, Julie would does the initial review, and then we discuss it internally to see if it actually meets that level of threshold to be considered development of regional significance.
Do you think that could be possible by the next meeting?
I'm not sure that they can make that determination on the information they've had to date.
Right, but okay.
So they can, supervisor, they don't have the information they need to make that determination. I think Janice is requesting the commission seek or solicit that from the town. And then when they have that, they can bring it back to the commission.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So
I think that'll be I think there was I don't even know if we made a motion.
No, we didn't.
There was no motion, so it doesn't need to be tabled.
No.
So then we can, there's no commission deadline for action on that, so it can go to the next meeting.
Okay.
Judy, I would encourage you to get through D&E before our break.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but do you need anything where it's just, okay, Julie could just request that information? There's no vote needed to ask for that additional information now?
I think it's, you could have a vote for it, or I think
Or it's just a staff request to
Yeah, I
get more
think it's a staff
information?
request.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Actually, the town knows what we're asking for.
Oh, yeah, we understand.
Okay. Item 3D, secret coordination, Meadows at Yaphank, PDD, CGA DRS, amendment of restrictive covenant. Replace 40,000 square feet of office commercial flex use with 152 multifamily units. Draft response.
Okay, thank you. You have a draft response in the package that reviews this proposal to replace 400,000 square feet of office space with 152 multifamily units. The applicant has expressed that the office space is not marketable at this time due to COVID restrictions and other, market forces. So they have option to go forward with this 152 multifamily residential unit plan. And this is different from the commission's approval because the master plan that was approved by the commission showed this as office, and this is a change that needs to potentially be reviewed directly by the commission. So our letter indicates that they should make a proposal to submit information directly to you explaining this change. And at a minimum, it would maybe require a modification or amendment to your decision that was approved in 2011.
I've asked the planning commission to contact the applicant in this case to make sure that they forwarded this information and ask for a review of the commission. The other thing I've asked is to see if this in any way would require reopening of CEQA, which it's only a small part of the project, but nevertheless, we want to dot every I and cross every T. So our planning commissioner, Beth Riley, and her staff is following up on that.
Okay, thank you.
I will tell you that all the condominiums are sold out. Absolutely sold out. The apartments are rented, but apparently they're going to have a problem with office space. So
Mhm.
whether that's our concern or not, or whether it's their concern, you know, that's their problem. It's the applicant's obligation to make that. And we'll make a determination of whether we have to reopen CEQA, which at first glance, it doesn't look like it, but we're taking a very careful look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve sending the response on the seeker coordination.
I'll make the
Motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Please raise your hand. Okay, any opposed? Okay. The motion has passed 4-0. The next item, item 3D, Barrens Credit Program, Peconic Sportsman's Club in Calverton, the request to remove 4 dead hazardous trees in a conservation easement area. Draft response, Mr. Taverdi.
Thank you, Judy. Good afternoon. We have received a letter from the Vice President of the Peconic River Sportsman Club, Joseph Hawker, requesting the permission to remove 4 dead trees on their properties. You should have received the letter and the location and photos of the dead trees in the e-packet. So they just asking to approve the removal of those trees.
Do we need a motion for that, or?
Yes, do we have a motion to approve Peconic Sportsman River Club to remove 4 dead hazardous trees?
And Judy, on this, just one second. So it's the recommendation of staff to allow them to do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's consistent with the easement. Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
You
one
can have your
thing,
motion.
I'm sorry, John, before we get to the motion, we're going to confirm, were these trees actually in Riverhead or Brookhaven?
This is on the Riverhead part of the Peconic Sportsman River.
Almost all of the Sportsman's Club is in the town of Riverhead.
Yes.
The agenda was there was an error in the typo in the tax map number. Apologize for that.
No worries. I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
So does the supervisor want to make the motion from Riverhead?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Riverhead makes the motion. Do we have a second? I'm sorry, Judy.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Supervisor Romaine. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed, please raise your hand. Okay. The motion passed 4-0. And now notice a public hearing for the letter of interpretation credit allocation appeal, Harriet Murphy, Suffolk County Tax Map numbers 900-215.3-1-1.1 and 900-215.3-1-1.2. The Central Pine Barrens Joint Planning and Policy Commission will hold a public hearing on February 24th, 2021 at 3 p.m. on the letter of interpretation appeal for Harriet Murphy for Suffolk County Tax Map numbers, which I just read. The parcels are located in the core preservation area of the Central Pine Barrens, north of Sunrise Highway between exits 62 and 63, south of the Hampton Hills Golf Club in Northampton in the town of Southampton. Said appeals made pursuant to section 6.7.3.3 of the Central Pine Barrens Comprehensive Land Use Plan dated 1995. The Central Pine Barrens Joint Planning and Policy Commission will be holding the appeal hearing pursuant to section 6.7.3.4 of the plan. The clearinghouse allocated 0 Pine Barren credits to the parcels as stated in the letters of interpretation dated November 13, 2020. Harriet Murphy's representative, John F. McHugh, requested the appeal on December 14, 2020. The public will be provided the opportunity to comment during the hearing. Written comments can be submitted in advance of the commission meeting via email at info@ by regular mail, also to the commission office. And it goes on to say the meeting will be held via Zoom format, 3 p.m. on Wednesday, February 21st, the Zoom link provided, etc. So I'd like to ask the commission members to identify themselves to the record. Suffolk County,
Dorian Dale.
Town of Brookhaven,
Supervisor Ed Romaine.
Town of Riverhead,
Dan McCormick as designated the supervisor, Yvette Aguirre.
thank you. Town of Southampton,
Janice Shearer, designated representative for Supervisor Jason Ehrman.
thank you. Okay, we're gonna start by hearing from commission staff. Julie Hargrave, she'll be presenting the application.
This is Jerry.
Excuse me. Pardon me, I have the wrong name. It's Jerry Taverdi is going to be presenting the application. I apologize, Jerry. I'm so used to Julie doing the hearings. It's Jerry Taverdi.
It's okay, no problem. Thank you, Judy. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the staff report and the exhibits, which is also available at our website at the moment. The subject parcels located in the co-preservation area north of Sunrise Highway between exit 62 and 63. You can see the aerial maps in Exhibit A. They are bordered by the paper streets as per 2019 tax map book page in Exhibit B. The parcels are located approximately 1,500 feet south of the Hampton Hills Golf Club. In 1995, the subject parcels were part of the larger property identified as Lot 1, according to the 1994 tax map book. The copy of the book's page you can see in Exhibit C. So technically, the subject lots did not exist in 1995. In 1999, the county acquired hundreds of acres of the applicant's property, including Lot 1. Please see the Exhibit D for the deed. It did not include 2 subject parcels due to a scrivener's error. Therefore, only part of the Lot 1 was transferred to the county. Subsequently, 3 lots, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3 were formed that did not exist in 1995. The applicant has been paying taxes on the lots 1.1 and 1.2 since 1999. In October 2020, Ms. Murphy submitted a letter of interpretation application for the subject parcels. The plan says the allocation of Pine Barren credits is based on status of the parcel as of June 1995. That is the date when the plan was adopted. Since lots 1.1 and 1.2 did not exist back then, they received a 0 credit allocation as per letter of interpretation in Exhibit E. In December 2020, the applicant's representative, John McHuff, submitted a request for an appeal of the letter of interpretation. His letter can be seen in Exhibit F. If the plan's provision on parcel status did not exist, based on a preliminary review, each lot would receive a minimum of 0.1 credit allocation. Thank you. That's all I have. And I believe we should have the applicant's representative.
First, does anyone have any questions for Jerry?
What is
No.
the total square footage, total area, or however you wish to describe it, of the lots involved?
So the lot that existed in 1995, the total square footage was, the acreage was 1.09. The two lots that exist right now, the square footage is 1.1 is 0.21 acres, and 1.2 is 0.46 acres.
So about a half of an acre, a little less than half and a little less than a quarter of an acre. Is that correct?
The total acreage of those lots, yes.
Half an acre.
No, I'm sorry, to confirm, right, if we add those together, I get 0.67 acres.
How much?
Just to be clear, correct?
About 2/3 of an acre.
Right.
No, but there is a third lot that was transferred to the county.
Right. And these lots were not transferred because they weren't on the tax map in 1995, or they weren't described on the tax map. Is that correct?
They wasn't transferred because of an error that was made back in 1999 that got them that lot 1 subdivided on 3 lots, and 2 lots were not transferred.
Whose error was that? Was that the Real Property Tax Service Agency's error, or was that some other error? No.
It was, so as best we can tell, and Mr. McHugh's here, so he can perhaps give us some more information. When Harriet Murphy sold a large holding to the county in preparing its deed did not include these parcels. So she had many old filed lots. So when they were transcribing her holdings from her deed onto the deed into the county, they dropped off several parcels, several old filed lots, which then were captured by the Real Property Tax Service, recognizing they were not transferred from Miss Murphy to the county under that bigger deed. They thought the county, for some reason, didn't buy them on purpose, assigned them new tax lot numbers, and that's how these parcels came in, and that's why they're 1.1 and 1.2.
So truly
So
a scrivener's error.
Yeah, it was really a scrivener's error on the county's deed, but the error occurred in 99.
Right.
It's nothing recent, and Miss Murphy or her estate has been paying, was assigned a tax bill and dutifully paying the taxes each year since 1999.
Okay, taxes on land you don't own.
What was that?
No, they own this. They own the land.
They own it because the deed didn't transfer them.
Right. It was mistakenly not transferred, remained in her ownership, and she had to pay taxes. I can't imagine the taxes were that significant on vacant property.
Yeah.
Vacant landlocked property.
They're landlocked property in the heart of the Pine Barrens with no road. Landlocked by definition means no road access.
Okay.
Interesting.
Does anyone else have any questions for Jerry before we go to the applicant's representative?
No.
Okay. So we'd like to hear now from John McHugh, who is the applicant's representative. Dominica, could you please swear him in?
You don't need to, Judy. He's an attorney.
Oh,
So
okay, I wasn't aware.
So just put his appearance on the record.
Right.
Once we'll unmute you, Mr. McHugh, and you have to unmute yourself as well.
So I've unmuted him and I've sent him a chat that he can unmute, but he hasn't responded.
Okay. We'll give her Mr. McHugh. There he is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, John F. McHugh, 233 Broadway, New York, New York, 10279. And the phone number is 212-483-0875. I represent Miss Murphy, and she has been dutifully paying taxes on this since 1999. She just gets a bill and she pays it. This land was inherited from her mother, who owned the larger tract of land. Now, I understand there is a statement here that this is a Scrivener's error, so it could very well be that she intended to sell this, and if we can establish that, she's perfectly happy with that. She just wants her taxes back. But so this is just a great mystery. This is sort of a surprise to us. So that's the position we have. We do have an offer. Somebody wants to buy this from us for $4,000. But if we own it, we own it. If we don't, we don't.
Mr. McHugh, what are the annual taxes on these properties?
Hold on a second. One is $26 and astounding numbers.
But 1995, that was money.
One is $26.36 and the other one is $56.02. So I assume that has been constant. But so whatever that is since 99 is all that she's lost on this. So this is obviously not really worth everybody's effort here. We're talking about very small numbers. But we do have a sale offer for $4,000 as of about 2 hours ago. But if we own it, fine. If we don't, we don't.
Okay.
Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. McHugh,
sorry.
Town of Riverhead.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Thank you. To your knowledge and investigation, was your client compensated at the time of the total land transfer for these two remaining lots?
She was for what the deed does recite a number of over $200,000 for whatever was there. The deed, however, has an addendum, which is very difficult to understand. So, but if indeed, and certainly that was a fair price for that land at that time, but we don't frankly know about the Scrivener's error, and we don't know why this was left off. But certainly it would not be left off deliberately because this is right in the middle of nowhere.
I think I can explain.
Janet, can you identify yourself?
Excuse me?
Could you say your name, please?
Oh, Janet Longo, Suffolk County Division of Real Estate. So back in '99, when the county purchased this property, they purchased lot 1. That's what existed, lot 1, and it's a very odd configuration. So the deed, the contract, everything referred to lot 1, which is the entirety. When DPW did the surveys, all the meets and bounds for every lot that is attached to the deed, and there were numerous lots. I didn't count them, but pages and pages. When the surveyor did the meets and bounds, they only did it for the small portion of lot 1. He missed the rest of it. So the meets and bounds was mistakenly drafted, attached to the deed, and of course that's what got recorded, and that's what then subdivided those other 2 lots off. So yes, it was a mistake. At the time of the purchase, the county paid for the entire lot 1, but only what turned into lot 1.3 actually got transferred.
Well, I will tell you, my client is inclined to just get her tax money back, and she'll be happy to just give this up.
Well, that's up to the county, I would assume.
I assume
that
so.
not be up to the county, Janet?
Well, my question is, did she realize at the time, she knew she sold the lot, and then when she got tax bills, did she realize that there was an error back then and never notified anybody?
I have no idea. This is a long
Yeah,
time ago. and
I don't either.
She hasn't got, he has no recollection of this at all,
It was a long time ago.
a long time ago. And it could have been her mother transferred it. We don't frankly know.
Okay, so what do we do now?
Well, the proposition is that the parcel didn't get credits, or the two parcels didn't get credits because they did not exist on the 1995 tax law. Now we understand why they didn't exist on the 95, because they existed as part of one in 95. Then there was the mistake, and they were created because the county didn't fully capture all of the holdings that it sought to acquire when the new tax laws are issued. So the issue for the clearinghouse is how do we allocate credits to them? The parcels are likely entitled to Pine Barren credits, and there's a market for Pine Barren credits, and people can learn the value of Pine Barren credits by looking at the website. So the issue is how many credits should be allocated, and I think that the allocation should be based on the formula that the plan has. Every once in a while, we run into this scenario where a parcel doesn't exist in 95, and usually staff will make a recommendation on how many credits to allocate to them, taking in the record, the hearing, the information that's provided at the hearing. And what will usually happen is we'll close the hearing, and then next meeting we'll have a recommendation. So really the place that Mr. McHugh finds his client is they've applied for Pine Barren credits, and the commission said, staff said, we can't do it because it's not on the map. And the recourse is to have this hearing, make the appeal, and then get a recommendation on how to get them credits if they're entitled to them.
Credits have a value, do they not?
What was that?
Credits have a value.
Yeah, credits have a value, and there's a market for credits.
And obviously, because we require credits for a number of things in the town of Brookhaven, as I'm sure other towns do as well. What is a full credit, more or less, generally speaking, going for on the market today?
Jerry? We'll unmute Jerry Taverdi. He'll have that number better than anybody else.
All right. In Southampton.
Yeah, so for the last year, we have 85,000 as an average price for the credit.
Okay, $85,000. Now, obviously, this property isn't going to get a full credit, but it might get a partial credit, a very small partial credit. But even at a small partial credit, it might be worth more than the $4,000 that is currently being offered for this property. I just want to say that on the record so that the Mr. McHugh can go back to his client with that information. Is that fair, Mr. Malazzo?
The market is higher than the market's $85,000. If these two parcels existed in a 95 tax lot, they would have gotten 1/10 of a credit each. So that would be 2/10 of a credit. So that, do the math. There's smarter people than me on the Zoom that could do that math.
Absolutely. I think Mr. McHugh can.
Absolutely smarter people than me on the record. Thank you, Mr. Romaine. We'll make sure we note that in the record.
Well, I'm the one who's not smarter. What did you say that was?
But what I'm saying is,
That's 25% of 85, so you're looking at an excess of 20 grand, as opposed to the 4 grand.
I just want to make Mr. McHugh aware of that, so his client is not shortchanged.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
If there's, Mr. McHugh, do you have anything else to add to the hearing?
No, at this point, have nothing at all.
Okay. Judy, is there
Make a
any?
motion to close the public
Well,
hearing.
let's just, Supervisor, I think Judy will ask if there's anyone, member of the public that wishes to be heard.
Right. At this point, we open it up to receive any comments from the public that is present. Is there anyone that would like to speak at this point? I don't think we have any phone-in people, and we didn't receive anything by email. Yeah, I don't see anybody asking to speak at this point. So John, would we then close the hearing and put it on decision for the next commission meeting on March 17th?
Yes. close the hearing.
Okay, do we need a motion for that?
Motion close the public hearing.
Thank you, Supervisor. Second, is
Second.
that Dorian? Thank you, Dorian. All in favor? Please
Aye.
raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 4-0. So that
Thank you,
concludes
everyone.
the hearing. Thank you.
Dominica, thank you. You're good. Have a good day. Have a nice
Thank you,
weekend.
Dominica.
you. Bye.
I know.
So we're gonna return. All right, so we're at the end of, towards the end of the agenda and the second public comment section. We have not received any public comments through Zoom. Excuse me, through the email. Is there anyone attending the meeting today that would like an opportunity to speak? I don't see anybody. You would need to raise your hand option in Zoom or put your request in the chat box. I don't think we have anybody that has actually phoned in today either. Being no further comments, we need to have an advisory session. If we could please have a motion to adjourn the meeting to go into advisory session to discuss legal matters, and the commission members will not return to public session afterwards.
So
Yeah.
moved.
Thank you, Supervisor Romaine. Second,
Second.
thank you, Dorian. The motion's passed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passed.
Just before you close the meeting, I just want to congratulate you on your first meeting.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
wonderful.
Put your little bumps, but thank
You
you
did a
for
good
your
job.
patience.
Well done.
Very good, Judy.